Hey guys, welcome to Craving for Baking. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make delicious pinwheel cookies, and I'm so sorry that I did not upload last week. It's just because I was a little bit busy, but hopefully we're right on track with the video schedule. So those were the ingredients so we can get started. So into a large bowl I'm going to be adding in my softened unsalted butter, and using a spatula I'm just going to mix that really well, and you don't really need a whisk or anything for this, because it's really easy to make. It's a super easy recipe. So I'm just going to use a spatula just to cream my butter and make sure it's nicer and paler in color. Eventually it should look like this, and that would take about 30 seconds or so. And then I'm going to be adding in my granulated sugar, and again using my spatula I'm just going to combine those two together until I get a nice and creamy mixture. And it should be very soft like this. You shouldn't see any lumps of sugar in there. And here is your finished mixture. Then I'm going to be adding in my vanilla extract, and you don't need a lot since this isn't really a vanilla sugar cookie, it's more of a two-flavored cookie. I'm just going to mix that in, and then once that's done I am going to be adding in an egg yolk, and this egg yolk just makes this cookie a little more richer. And finally this is what it should look like. Now I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of milk, and I'm going to mix that in. And if you have any lumps of flour that are left in the sieve, just throw them out. You don't want to kind of force that way. You don't want to make it force its way through the sieve. And then you just want to fold that in until you get a really nice dough. And once you get a nice dough, you want to split it into halves. And then you want to put the other half into a bowl, and you want to add a teaspoon of cocoa powder. And you just want to mix that in really well. Or, you know, to the best of your standard, since this is really the best I could. And then I melted some chocolate and I mixed that in, and basically the melted chocolate just gives it the extra chocolate flavor, and I'm going to mix that in really well. And then I'm going to take both of my doughs and I'm going to put them into some cling film, wrap them up, and then put them into the freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes. You just want this to be really chilled. So into the freezer that one goes. And then I have got my vanilla plain butter cookie dough, and I'm just going to wrap that up in cling film. And I'm just going to wrap that up in cling film as well, and I'm going to put that into the freezer as well. So into the freezer these doughs go, and we just again want to refrigerate them for about 5 to 10 minutes until they are very nice, chilled and hard. So my dough have been in the freezer for about 10 minutes. So now I'm taking them out and I am just going to start rolling them out and working them so that we can start to make them the pinwheel shape. So your dough should be really firm, and I'm just going to put some flour onto my surface, and I'm going to roll my cookie dough out until it's about 1/4 of an inch thick, or around that kind of thickness, or you could have it as thick as you want. And you want to also make sure that your dough has an even thickness. So if it doesn't, it's really not gonna work as well. And then I'm just using my rolling pin to transfer my dough onto a different surface. And then I did the same to my chocolate dough. And then I'm going to take my vanilla or all butter dough, and then I'm just going to pop that on top, and I'm going to make sure that it's covering the chocolate dough very nicely. And then once it's covered it completely, I'm going to use a knife to just kind of trim the edges and make sure it's not as rough looking as it does right now. And you can also use them scraps. Maybe you can roll it up to make it kind of be a marble cookie, or I just rolled them up and cooked them in the oven. Then I rolled up the dough and I then made it look like a log shape, so it should have looked like that. And then I covered it in cling film and put it into the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. And you really want this to be very, very cold and frozen. Well, not frozen, but very hard, because then you will see a great difference in how your cookie dough looks once it's been cut. I took my cookie dough out of the freezer and I left it a bit too long, so it kind of thawed. That's why mine didn't look as good as yours probably will if you let it freeze for long enough and you don't take too long before you cut it. But this is what my dough looked like, and then I put it into the oven to cook at 160 degrees Celsius for about 5 to 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes depending on how you like your cookies. So this is what my cookies look like. They absolutely look so nice and so delicious. They were so fluffy. They were more fluffy than I expected them to be, but they tasted fantastic. You got the contrast of the two different flavors. It was really, really good. So I hope you guys try this recipe out, and I hope to see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.